Hello, and welcome to another Fantasy Premier League video. My name is Steve, and I played my free hit in Gameweek 29, which has set me up for a totally different chip strategy than what pretty much else seems to be going with out in X Twitter and content creation on YouTube. Now, the free hit itself only got me 51 points, which was a small green arrow. But I did leave quite a lot of points on the table. Now, I did have Bruno Fernandes in the team, who, alongside Haaland with the captain's armband, actually ended up doing most of the damage in my team. I held Gabriel and Mbumo from my actual team. I held them through the free hit. It's only two of the three players that I actually ended up holding. And they chipped in for an assist and a clean sheet, but every single one else blanked. And like I said, I did actually end up leaving quite a few points on the table, which was pretty frustrating. So first of all, I went for Aina over Milinkovic. Milinkovic obviously scored a goal and got an assist from deep in his own half. That was pretty frustrating because Aina was the more expensive player, and I thought he had the better chance at some attacking returns. It just did not go that way at all. I also had Strand Larsen's brace of goals rooted to first spot on my bench. And to make matters worse, I had Son in the team, who was benched for the second week running, only coming on to play the second half, making me think that I probably should have just put Strand Larsen in the starting lineup anyway. I think part of the problem was I just had so much money to burn without Salah and Palmer in my team, and I was trying to find some good differentials as not many people were playing the free hit. I ended up going with Son instead of Strand Larsen, who was almost certainly going to start and had a pretty easy game. I also missed the 2:30 a.m. leak that Marmoush was starting. Yeah, the deadlines over here in New Zealand are pretty early in the morning, and I was fast asleep when that leak came through, which is even more frustrating because he was one of the first men on my free hit team, which I actually turned on before the final games of Game Week 28 were played, and Marmoush was benched, and that actually got me to move Marmoush back out of the team. Of course, he went on to get a 12-pointer with a goal and an assist. So it was a pretty frustrating free hit in terms of the results in Game Week 29. But I'm actually very well placed heading into Game Week 30 with 5 free transfers and a team which is very close to what many managers are actually wildcarding into this week. Plus, going with the free hit strategy, or the strategy that I am going with, I used my triple captainship when a lot of managers were using their assistant manager chip, and I still have the assistant manager to play, which I will be turning on next week in Game Week 31, meaning I still have my wildcard and bench boost up my sleeve. So let's take a look at Game Week 30. Now, I had to take a screenshot of the team because I was running right up to the price change deadline, trying to make my final decisions on who I was going to keep and who I was going to sell. And then I did have to make the moves before I could record the video in order to catch some price rises. So for Game Week 30, we have had the FA Cup results. It's very likely that City, Villa, Arsenal, and Palace are all going to double in Game Week 33. So I won't bring up the schedules or anything. I just assume that most of you guys out there all know what's going on with the doubles that are coming up. So this is the team that I will be coming back to, or did come back to, sorry. It has 5 free transfers in the bank and 0.5 million to spend. Now, first of all, talk about Salah. So one of the main reasons that I was free hitting was that I wanted to hold on to my Liverpool triple up. for the run in towards Game Week 32, Game Week 33 doubles. Salah was a big part of that reason, as I did have a lot of value tied up in him. Now, a lot of managers sold Salah last week and bought Haaland. And Haaland picked up an injury in the FA Cup, which has now been reported by Fabrizio Romano. I think it happened overnight last night, that Haaland's actually likely to be out for most of the season. And that has triggered mass wildcards out across the YouTube content creation world. Now, weirdly, the narrative around not owning Salah because Liverpool will have the league tied up very soon seems to have completely gone out the window, with everyone actually scrambling to get Salah back into the squads. Now, of course, the Haaland injury definitely does push Salah higher up the pecking order, but it is kind of interesting to note that no one's actually talking about Liverpool having the league tying up and a reason not to buy Salah anymore. But for my team, I actually had no plans to sell Salah at all. He's on one of the best seasons that he's had in FPL, and he's just my permit captain at the moment. But I am managing to benefit hugely from this Haaland injury, like without just really doing anything. It's total luck, obviously. But most managers who sold Salah to buy Haaland will now be buying Salah back for about another 0.5 million extra funds that they will have to find somewhere to reinvest back into Salah. And that comes just 1 week after selling him. So that was one of the main reasons that I did go down the free hit 29 strategy. And I did get a little bit lucky with the Haaland injury, obviously. But also part of playing the free hit was that I was hoping that Mateta would be back fit and ready from his well, it wasn't surgery. He had 25 stitches put into his ear for that challenge from the Millwall keeper, which is it's the Karate Kid-esque, I suppose. Anyway, so I did want to hold on to Mateta, hoping he'd be back for the Southampton match. I did actually pick up Mateta in game week 23, so quite a while ago now, for 7.3 million. So I got on quite early. And since game week 23, I have picked up 4 goals, 1 assist, and 6 bonus points from Mateta at a sub 9% ownership. He has been a big part of the reason why I have had quite a few successive green arrows in a row. Now, he was actually back for the FA Cup match and played 70 minutes in that game. So he is well back and surely going to play this match against Southampton, which also puts me a move ahead from what a lot of other managers out there are going to be doing. Now, my pre-planned moves heading into game week 30 was I was going to have to sell either Palmer or Trent this week in order to not burn a transfer. So if I just had no injuries in this team, I was going to have to sell either Palmer or Trent. I'd pre-planned that. Of course, both of them managed to pick up injuries. Palmer missing out game week 29 completely. Well, we'll go into the injuries and then we'll go into what I was doing. But I also needed some cash in order to turn on my assistant manager chip in game week 31, as I'm eyeing up that game week 32 double and game week 33 double for the assistant manager chip, which is it's the main chip that's driving my chip strategy. So first of all, on Palmer, he missed game week 29. He wasn't in the England squad either. However, this morning, it does sound like he has been spotted in training. So he could be back ready to play this Tottenham fixture. In terms of reasons to sell Palmer, 10.8 million for a player that only might play against Tottenham is actually quite a lot of money. I definitely don't want him to, be, coming back in off the bench. He's probably going to start, like all things considered. If he's fit, he's probably going to start, but I suppose there is a chance that he does get benched. However, there are no doubles to hold him for, and there's a big double game week likely to be in game week 33, and I'm going to need a lot of cash for game week 33. So I am almost certainly going to sell Palmer before game week 33 anyway. So my options are I either hold on to Palmer for risky minutes, he's dropping in value, and he hasn't been returning anything for quite a while, and he is also quite expensive. Or I can sell him and jump on a Palace asset now, as they do have Southampton this week. And of course, a lot of managers are looking to buy Palace at the moment, and so we'll also catch some price rises by bringing in a Palace asset. So I have decided to sell Palmer. He has already been sold. And I only had to sell one of them, but Trent is also injured. He came off in the 73rd minute against PSG and then missed the EFL Cup match entirely. And on Liverpool.com, it's reported on Sunday that they will be without Trent, Gomez, and Bradley for Everton, which is going to put Kwanzaa in at right back for the starting 11, almost certainly. So I don't see any point in holding on to Trent now either. I mean, he's only got single game week fixtures as well. It's also kind of expensive. So I decided to sell Trent as well, and it kind of comes down to what I'm going to be doing with my assistant manager, Chip. So the main reason I'm turning it on for game week 32 and 33 is to target Oliver Glasner, who's going to have some table bonus fixtures, probably a few table bonus fixtures, or I mean, it depends how the results go over the next couple of weeks, but he should have some table bonus fixtures across those double doubles. And the teams that he's coming up against either also have injuries or are in other competitions that they might be focusing on. And so there's a lot more reasons as to why Crystal Palace probably have a much better shot at getting returns in those games. So I can only buy or have 2 Palace assets in my squad, and I already own Mateta. So it's either sell Palmer for Eze or Sarr, or sell Trent and buy in someone like Munoz. Now, I'll probably go, well, first of all, I'll discount Munoz almost instantly, because the fixtures from a defensive point of view are bad. They're really bad, and I think Crystal Palace are just going to score goals, and if they're going to win games, they need to score goals, but I think they're probably also going to concede goals as well. And although I do know that Munoz has a lot of attacking threat, I owned Munoz at the start of the season, and he had a lot of attacking threat back then as well. But every single time he took a shot, it was just always hit wrong, off target, bad shot selection, frustratingly going for near post when he should be going far, or far post when he should be going near. Just all sorts of... I don't trust him to be able to score many goals either. So although he does get a lot of chances, I don't know how many of them he's actually going to convert. And so I think that the attacking assets from Palace are going to return a lot more points across the run. And so we're really only looking at the likes of Eze or Sarr coming in this week. Now, if you have a look at the expected stats, Eze is about 0.28 XG and about 0.15 XA. I think that's across the last 6 game weeks. Whereas comparatively, Sarr is quite far ahead on 0.38 XG. So that's an extra 0.1 and 0.23 at XA compared to Eze's 0.15, which is, again, about an extra 0.1. However, heading into game week 30, I had actually been eyeing up Eze for a few weeks. Now, that was just based on the way he was playing, just eye test. Like, Sarr has been doing well recently, but I know Eze as a player quite well for quite a while. I've owned Sarr bits and pieces in the past, but I know a lot more about Eze. But also, Mateta only played 70 minutes in that first game back at the FA Cup. Eze is second in line for penalties, which means, for example, in that FA Cup match, Eze had penalties at the end of the fixture, which there was 24 minutes in which Mateta was off the pitch, including stoppage time. So 24 minutes out of the 94 minutes played. Well, it wasn't 94 minutes played because there would have been some halftime added minutes as well. But rough numbers is about 25% of the game that Eze would have had penalties for if it was a Premier League fixture. Now, with the fixture congestion coming up for Palace, it makes me think that Nketiah is likely going to get the final 15, 20, 25 minutes in a few of these matches as the game week 32 and game week 33 roll around. And so Eze, assuming he is still on the pitch for those final 20 or so minutes, is likely going to have the penalties for about 25% of the matches in which Nketiah does come onto the pitch for. So how much potential XG is that worth? I think if you take 25% of penalties and put that on, just say that Mateta plays 70 to 75 minutes every single match, that probably puts him quite a lot further ahead than the XG that Sa is beating Eze by over the last 6 matches. And not only that, fatigue is the highest at the end of the matches, which is the time when your brain's running slow, your muscles are running slow. It's also nearing the end of the season and you've not had any real solid recovery times. And so, there's more injuries in the team. Defenders are making more mistakes. And so there's even higher potential that penalties will fall in those final 20 minutes of matches. And so I think that's enough to go for Eze over Sa, even though he is 1 million more expensive, somewhere close to about $1 million more expensive. So in terms of Trent replacements, as I said, I immediately ruled out Palace assets because I'm going to be doubled up on the attack and have my assistant manager chip on in game week 32 and 33. So I can't buy a Palace defender. Newcastle is right up there, and they do double in game week 32. They also have Brentford at home this week, which is probably a pretty good shot at a clean sheet. However, I do have Mbeumo in my team, and I am kind of hoping for a goal from Mbeumo, and I think it's well within his capabilities. And so if I am looking at a Newcastle defender, it might only be one with some sort of attacking threat. I could also look at Arsenal. However, I'm already doubled up in defense with Raya and Gabriel in my team. And I don't necessarily want to say no to Saka just yet, especially considering that I can go from Mbeumo straight up to Saka once I've sold Palmer and Trent Alexander-Arnold sometime around game week 32, 33 to catch the doubles for Arsenal. So I think I'm going to dodge an Arsenal defender as a replacement for Trent. And the only other team that I would be looking at is the team that I am, choosing to invest in, which is City, who have Leicester at home this week, which is always a fixture worth targeting. You look at what Bruno did last week, even though Man United have not been playing very well this season. And because City do have a double coming up over the next, probably in game week 33, going with a City asset seems like a bit of a no-brainer, and there's really only one asset that that's really nailed on for minutes with some attacking threat as well, and that is Gvardiol. So 2 of the 3 transfers are Eze in for Palmer and Gvardiol in for Trent. And with the Haaland injury, who is now being reported overnight that he's going to be out for probably most of the season, Marmoush go straight back into my thinking. I really wanted him on my free hit. I pulled him out of my free hit because he was then benched in game week 28. Then the leak came out that he was starting. Then he goes on to score a goal and get an assist in that match. With Leicester at home this week and almost certainly going to be starting with Haaland out of the team. I mean, I've got 5 free transfers. I'm going to want to try and get a lot of City assets in. He seems like he's going to be pretty nailed. I mean, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't also buy in Marmoush. So I have also sold João Pedro for Marmoush, investing some of the funds from the Palmer and Trent sales. And I still have 4 million sitting in the bank, which is actually going to be quite helpful because I'll need, is it 1.2 for Glasner or 0.8? I actually forget. I'm going to need some of that 4 million to turn on Oliver Glasner next week, or Emery if I decide to go Emery and then switch across to Glasner in game week 32. And it will probably leave me enough money to go from Mbumo, who's currently 8.1 million. Although, what's my sale price on Mbumo? So I picked him up for 7.8. I can sell him for 7.9. And then Saka is 10.2, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Saka 10.2. So I need 2.3 million of that 4 million to go from Mbumo to Saka for the double that is coming up in game week 33. So it's actually looking pretty good. I made the moves earlier today in order to catch 0.3 million of price rises and avoid a price drop for Palmer. So I've spent 3 transfers. I've got 2 left. That'll mean I will have 3 transfers to use in game week 31. And I'll be turning on my assistant manager chip in game week 31. Go for a whole bunch of table bonus fixtures to see if I can, and if I can find 5 table bonus fixtures and they all come out at like 2-0-ish odd wins, I think it's worth about 18 points per fixture, which is like 90 points. I might be able to make 90 points out of this assistant manager chip if everything goes perfectly. I really need it. Fingers crossed. We'll be swinging for the fences as of next week. But all right, well, that wraps up this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a comment to tell us what you think. Good luck for the game week, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.